Hey everyone, it's Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Rob Fish. I'm going to tell you the truth about the great college football games this weekend. Why I was wrong about the Braves going to the World Series, and two very tricky uh, NFL games I'm going to pick that could be upset specials. All right, Washington, Oregon. That's the game of the week. I like I like Oregon. Washington could definitely beat them. You got Michael Pennix, who's going up top. They're averaging 11 yards per pass attempt. Oregon is, and a lot of the pundits are talking, and they're definitely right. It's about Oregon's great secondary versus the great trio of Washington's receiving core, led by Rome Odunze, who is a tough guy that can go up in the air and get the ball. It's 50-50 balls he usually claims. Now you're going against that secondary in Oregon. They give up 5 yards per pass attempt. That means they tackle. They tackle in space. That means a lot of times they get off on the field third down. But you better, and Dan Landing's defense is good, but you better get to Michael Penix because they're going down the field. They don't care about Oregon's stats. They're home. He's explosive. At times he can be a little reckless, but he's explosive. They go down. They're going 40 yards down the field. I think the difference in this game is the line of scrimmage. Both teams have a good offensive line, but defensively, Washington is giving up 4 yards per carry, and they're not as stout in the running game. And Oregon is going to want to slow this game down. They go toe to toe up and down the field, score, but they got a great tandem, the running back tandem led by Bucky Irvin, who's great. They got a nice 1-2 punch, and he's their best rusher. And they like to pound the rock in between the tackles. They like to use that and then go up top to Troy Franklin. So if you're trying to stop the run and they're doing time-consuming drives, which they have to on the road to quiet that crowd down, they can go toe for toe and up and down the field, but they can't fall behind and then it turns into a track meet because that favors Bo Nix and Aaron Washington, and everything I said, throw it out of the window. But if Oregon does what I think they're going to do, low ball control, run in between tackles, now Washington knows that Oregon's going to punch them in the face. They slide their safeties up and linebackers. Now you can go over the top. Now what you do, I think what Dan Landing's going to do is he might come out passing if they load up for the run. And then once he softens them up, he pounds that rock and gives me those 7, 8, 9 yard, 7, 8, 9 play drives, 80-yard drives that take up the clock, quiets the crowd down, and gets Pennix out of his rhythm temporarily. But they could be up 24-0, and before you know it, Washington could explode and tie the game. So this is going to go down to the wire. Oregon would have won last year. Bo Nix got hurt late, and they lost, and they upset Oregon and ruin their chances. I believe Oregon's going to pay them back, but I would not be surprised if Washington won. They're home. They got those receivers. Maybe their defense plays over their head, and it's not 4 yards per carry. Maybe it's 2 yards per carry because they're a little more stout, but we shall see. I like Bo Nix and the Oregon Ducks. Bo Nix is 12-8 on the road. He has a great record at home, but this Bo Nix, tomorrow, I believe he'll have the most starts in the history of college football for a quarterback because he played 5 years, I believe. And he was a kind of flash in the pants, kind of overhyped player at Auburn. And he stayed with it, learned how to play the position. I respect that. Now he's mastered the position in college football. He's going to be he's going to be a high draft pick. He understands how to play the position. He understands his offense. And I just trust him. Not as spectacular as Pennix. I trust his solidness and their ability to – you don't always have to run because this is a passing – the college and NFL is more passing, but you want at least 60, 40, 70, 30 because the second – especially on the road, 2nd and 4 – 2nd and 5, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, you can open up the playbook And it gives you an option to run, gives you an option to throw the screen pass. It gives you an option, if they're coming with a blitz, to find the hot read and get the first down. But Oregon's got to be careful because Washington is explosive. Oregon is too, in a different kind of way. So I'm really looking forward to this game at 3:30. USC Notre Dame. Woo, I'm going to pick USC, but I have zero confidence in this pick going to South Bend. I know Notre Dame got blown out by Louisville. They threw the Ohio State game away. They should have lost to Duke, but they're top-ranked defense when it comes to passing. But Caleb Williams is a different monkey. He's going to figure out a way to win. I think what's very, very important is Marshawn Lloyd's running ability on the road, just like I was talking about Oregon, on the road, doing what he has to do, because you got Jerry Rice's kid, and you got Taj Washington, who's coming on. And Caleb Williams, he had 3 rushing touchdowns last year against Notre Dame. This dude has 22 touchdowns and 1 interception and 1,800 yards passing. Now, Hartman is 16 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And Audric Estime is going to be big. I hope I pronounced that right, but he is going to be important in the running game, because you want to do like Oregon was probably going to do and keep Caleb Williams' possessions down. But I think somehow, some way, he's going to get the ball. He's going to finish Notre Dame. And Notre Dame is not a closing team. They're not a team that closes really good historically. They could win. They have 2 losses, so there's zero pressure. If they win, they're not going to go to the playoffs, but they could ruin USC season. I saw them do that with Clemson, and they're home. So that would scare me if I'm USC. And just their defense is 130th in the country. Ugh. But I'm going to put my faith in Caleb Williams and a receiving core and his ability to pull out these games where their defense has not stop the soul. How about the Fighting Phils? My goodness. They did again. They took out Atlanta in 4, and they shut them down. Their pitching was outstanding. I mean, outstanding. You got, when you have, let's think about it. When you have the starting pitchers, you have Ranger Suarez doing what he does, pitching, being a dog, and you have their back into their bullpen, and you have Nolan, you have Zach Wheeler, who was just tearing through the Braves. That was big. And the Braves, it was like the Braves were the baseball version of the 49ers. I looked at the Braves this year. I said, nobody's beating this team. This team's unbeatable. They got good pitching, solid, great relievers. The lineup, they hit over 300 home runs. I believe they have the most home runs in Major League history. They were a historically good baseball team, and they got beat up by the Phillies. Phillies didn't care. And they don't like each other, and the Phillies keep that chip on their shoulder. And they said, oh, okay. And when you go to, and I'm going to tell you something, the Braves were intimidated in that little stadium. They were intimidated. And their shortstop shouldn't have talked junk to Bryce Harper. He was hitting 2 home runs, almost hit another one, looked at him. He stared at him like, how you like me now? And the guy couldn't even look at me. You know, Bryce Harper snatched his heart and slammed it on the ground as he's rounding the bases. And I'm going to tell you something. Spencer Strider picked great. His fastball was almost unhittable. What hurt Spencer Strider is he outthought himself. Castellanos, who had 2 home runs in 2 games, back-to-back games, that's a record. He threw Castellanos a slider after getting past everybody with his fastball. 1-1 Phillies. Trey Turner, slider, he crushes it. Phillies are down 2-1. You could feel the energy in that building. They're up and they smell blood. The Phillies smell blood. The fans smell blood. Now, in the sixth, I can't get on Strider. He's blowing everybody away. And he threw the fastball. And Castellanos took him deep again. And then the biggest, and I mean biggest, play of the game was the seventh inning when Kimball replaced Alvarado, who didn't have it. Darno walks, and it's 2 men on and a chance for Acuna, who hadn't did a thing in this series. Went deep, flied out, great catch by the center fielder, and you knew that game was over. And they end up finishing off the Braves and doing what they're supposed to do. And they got now Acuna. Now Albies didn't really do nothing, and Darno only had one hit homer in Atlanta. Ozuna didn't do nothing. Olsen didn't do anything. And they just, and the star of the Philadelphia, the Trey Turner and Bryce Harper destroyed the Braves. When your stars, what happens is the stars who are hot always hits the opposing pitcher's mistakes. If it's a slider that's a cement mixer, it took it deep. It's not fouled off. The Braves are fouling off the pitches they were supposed to hit, and the Phillies were going deep. And the Phillies have that confidence, and they have that swagger. Arizona's on fire. And I told you Arizona would be dangerous. I know they beat the Dodgers, but I knew Arizona was on fire. I like the Phillies because the Phillies could walk into Arizona. Like Arizona could split in Philadelphia and shock the Phillies, and Phillies would go right to Arizona and get 2 out of 3, and I believe they're going to win in 6 because I think they're being on the road doesn't intimidate the Phillies, whether it's Houston, San Diego, Texas, it doesn't matter. These guys have it. Now, my concern, say for instance, the Philadelphia Phillies win, and I believe the Astros are going to win game 1. I like Verlander over Montgomery. I got the Astros in 7 just because Alvarez is impossible to get out now. Tuve is very difficult. I mean, you can strike him at times, but Yordan Alvarez is impossible to get out. He might be a better version of Big Papi under pressure. They both kind of are shaped similar. They have the same batting stance, but this kid is just he strikes fear in your heart, almost in a Babe Ruth kind of way. So I do feel like it's going to be the Astros and Phillies. My only concern about the Phillies is there's a couple of holes in the lineup. Realmuto is going to hit better. Stott and Brahm is, if you're going to beat the Astros, and I believe it's Schwarber. He hit 118, but he's a money player. I expect him to get it going. I'm worried about Brahm, and he looks so frustrated. He started to get to his head, and Stott not hitting. And then Rojas can't hit a lick. So they have a couple of holes that really good, tough-minded lineup that fouls balls off. They make contact. They get steals. They move runners over. They do all the good little things. And they had 11 home runs in this series. So they did what they had to do. But I going forward, if they take care of business against Arizona, which is equally hot, it's dangerous. But now you're in the next round. This is for the rights to go to the World Series, and Philly's been there, done that. So when they see the Astros the second time, now they have the experience that they didn't have when they had the lead on them and they kind of gassed out. Now they do, but I worry about those holes, and I worry about how the heck you get Alvarez out. And those are the key. But I think those two teams are going to move on. But they got to play the games now. We shall see. I got Philadelphia and Houston in the finals, and Texas got a lot of experience. And I don't sleep on their manager, which has 3 championships. Bruce Bochy, 4 championships. I believe he won with Arizona too. 4 of those babies. So, and they got guys that have won championships on their squad. So That's why I said Houston 7. This is not going to be a cakewalk like when they beat the heartless Yankees, which I hate saying that because I being I live out here in this area, I love to see Yankees win. People are excited. It's always good for me to talk about that, but they don't have enough. They didn't have enough guts, and Houston smelled that. They smelled blood and took them out. But Texas is going to be a lot tougher. Okay, two interesting games, two teams that could be on upset alert, but I will pick the favorite teams to win. That's the 49ers and the Eagles. I'm going to go with the 49ers first. If Deshaun Watson was healthy, it really would be big. But I just think there's a problem with the Niners. They're sky high off whooping their rivals and talking stuff and beating them and showing the world that they're the best. And everybody in the world is saying this is historically a good team. Mark Purdy's played perfect football. Nobody can even be on their planet right now. And well, look, Mark Purdy got 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's fantastic. He's as good as you can get. McCaffrey's MVP candidate. Ayuk, he's hard to deal with. Debo and Kittles and Uchek, and their offensive line is pretty solid. And the Browns defense is very good. The thing is, the Niners are traveling 3,000 miles, probably not 3,000, but traveling across the country to play Cleveland. They're not a rival. It's going to be a little bit of a letdown. Cleveland's going to be sky high. Now, my guy is quarterbacking, PJ Walker. I have interviewed him before. So, and I have that on my YouTube. I'm gonna post that on there. He's from my area. I've known him since he was in the 10th grade, since the 9th grade, I believe. So it's my guy. I'm gonna get him back on my show as soon as I can. I talk to his people, so I'm trying to get that going. He's a good quarterback. He's a good backup. So they're going to be in it. It's just that the 49ers eventually, it'll be a tight game, I believe. 49ers eventually take care of business late. Now, the Eagles and Jets are a different story. That's going to be an extremely difficult game for the Eagles to win. The Eagles have had some tough road games. The Rams and the Patriots, first game of the year when the Patriots didn't know they stunk, and they gave them a good game. And now it's the Jets who have found themselves a little bit. They should have beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills first week of the season. And they're playing the Eagles. They haven't beat the Eagles 13 times. They're 0-13 versus the Eagles. Or they do. And that crowd, if there's not a lot of – there are going to be some Eagle fans there, but if the crowd can get involved, that Jets are – they play inspired at home. They're – now, the Eagles are stout up front, but boy, they're going to get a test of Breece Hall. Breece Hall is, at this point, the second best running back in the NFL behind McCaffrey. Now, my guy, Jonathan Taylor, is going to get going with the Colts. So I'm not worried about that. He might be up there with those top dogs. But I just believe Hurts is going to make enough plays late. Swift will run a little bit. It's going to be hard, though. I just think Hurts, with his legs and moving the chains on 4th and goal, with their strength of their team, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Goddard makes just enough plays, and they get to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, I think, is going to play inspired, but that front four with my guy Riddick making sacks and making havoc, that front, they rotate a lot of defensive linemen. They come after you in waves. They have the best overall pass rush in the NFL. And I think that's how they survived this game. The one thing I did notice, I think the 49ers and Cowboys could take note, Jalen Hurts, when he's running to his left, he has trouble trying to find receivers. A lot of times he just throws the ball away because he can't turn his body at times and make that throw. That's something you want to watch going forward. I know Robert Saleh knows that. I wonder if they're going to – now, going to his right, he's solid. But now, Mahomes could go either way. And I actually saw Brock Purdy do this really well, where he goes to his left, quickly sets throws the ball. Hurst doesn't do that, maybe because he's not as agile because he's such a strong guy and he can't do it. But everything else, he's one of the best deep ball throwers. He's been solid in the pocket. He's a smart runner. He just doesn't run all the time. He's really learned how to play the position in that system. He's perfect for what Sinceri does. And I think the Eagles will survive, but do not be surprised at an upset. I don't know if the Browns will upset the 49ers, but the Jets could. Now, I think chalk will hold up. I like Detroit over Tampa on the road. I like the Jaguars to beat the Colts. I hope the Colts win because Jonathan Taylor's my homeboy. You saw pictures of me and him on Instagram. If you're on mine, we're looking to do a podcast together, so we're trying to work that out. Hopefully next Monday. So I'm pulling for the Colts. I like the Jaguars in this game because they're not going to have Jonathan Taylor up to stuff. Even though I love Moss as the running back, without Richardson and Lawrence and company, they're starting to find themselves. The Jaguars are looking like the team I thought they would, who would win the South. Bengals will this a get right game. I think they get past a tough, stingy Seahawk team with a good secondary, but I just think the Bengals at home, I like the Bengals. And I like the Ravens to beat the Titans, even though the Ravens are not that great on the road. They're a little messy at times. You saw what happened last week. They kind of can't get out of their way at times. But Ryan Tannehill has 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So I don't have to really go any further with that.